What's up, everybody? It's your boy Adam. Don't blame me for the scruffy look. Um, I haven't taken a good shower since January, dude. So what the fuck you? What do you want? Now the only way I can wash my body is with a fucking washcloth and a bar of soap under the faucet of a sink. Scrub down George Carlin's 4 essential areas and get on with the day, I guess. That's how it fucking goes. Um, the Slumlord said yesterday, oh, I'm going to get that water heater fixed on April 30th now. It's now April 22nd. Let me take a look here. Yep, April 22nd. And, yeah, yeah, I'll believe that. He's been telling. But it's just another text messages and a string of proof that's been built up. And text messages count as in writing. And I'm not going to say any more about that. You know, help me with my documentation all you want. So it's only going to help me in the end. Let's see here. So yeah, there's that. Some of you keep making comments about how he's trying to force me out of here. I'd say there's some truth to that. I think there's a combination of multiple things going on. I'll talk about it in more detail down the road. But, yeah, he's definitely trying to make it uncomfortable here. And, you know, I mean, there's 5 things coming his way in the very near future that are going to be difficult to deal with. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I will list out the 5 things in a future video. You're just going to have to wait. Oh, son of a bitch. Karma is a bitch. That's all I can say. So I had a meeting this morning. Come in my beat up old Star Wars t-shirt and a scruffy face on a Zoom meeting in it. But that's all that was, nobody's expecting me to come looking correct. Had a really great meeting, got a lot of stuff done last week. Things are moving forward everywhere. I have a whole bunch of people to catch up with. I have a whole bunch of work to slog through still. It's hard. I mean, there's no question about it. Lot of fucking trolls on the channel. Because how many times do I say over and over? People love to see someone fall on their face, and then people love to kick someone when they're down. If you want proof, go look at the comments over the last few videos. The more down I am, the more that, like, if I'm talking about the struggle I'm going through instead of the successes I'm experiencing, they all show up. It's like flies on a fucking turd. All these fucking trolls just pop up out of nowhere. All the same ones that were shitting all over the channel when I was homeless, they're back. And they're just like, haha, you fucking piece of shit. Fuck you, you fucking moron. And all this stuff, just read them. You'll see. I'll read some of them and I'll respond to them on a video. But right now I don't feel like going through what I have to go through to pull them up in front of me and read them. I have to be sitting at my computer to do this. And right now I'm chilling and I'm drinking my coffee. I had to get up for a meeting this morning, which was good. It was good because my body just didn't want to get up. Yesterday's 40 miles of cycling, lifting 15,000 pounds of flour and sugar and powdered sugar and cocoa powder and brown sugar and chocolate chips and peanut butter chips and white chocolate chips and everything else that you can possibly imagine. combined with, I made so much cheesecake it took 26 pounds of cream cheese to make. That's a lot of cheesecake. I wish I could be the one eating it all. Um, I could definitely eat. That would be like a cheesecake eating competition right there. Can I eat all the cheesecake that 26 pounds worth of cream cheese made all in one shot? What's the biggest cream cheese cake that I could make? Like, so many things going through my head right now. How big is the biggest oven I can find, right? But anyway, made a lot of cream cheese yesterday. I did a bunch of different random things. Fixed a table. I'm sitting there. There's all these customers in the store, and I've got a table, one of our stainless steel tables, flipped upside down with a bunch of tools laying out, hammering on the wheels on the bottom with a crescent wrench because they don't have a hammer. It's what you would expect when you open up a toolbox that's maintained by a bunch of girls running a bakery. There's no tools. So I found something that'll work, and I fixed. The wheels were coming off the table. The table was all wobbly. The shelves were uneven, etc. So I had this thing upside down. I'm fixing and measuring and leveling out all the table surfaces, fixing all the wheels so that they won't fall off, and all this stuff. And I'm just banging away, bang, 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 bang. And this is supposed to be like a pleasant experience when customers come in the door and hear there's this dude ripping a table apart in the middle of the kitchen, but it's an open kitchen. Everybody can see what's going on back there. So it's like, whatever. It's got to get done. The place is so small, there's nowhere to like take it and do this other than what I'm doing. But that table is solid now. That table's not gonna have any problems for the next 5 to 10 years. So we decided we're gonna overhaul every table there. There's a bunch of them, but just one at a time whenever we have time. If one There's another one that's getting on people's nerves, and it's an easy fix. It's just time consuming. It took about it didn't even take an hour to do, but it was still. But anyway, I did all this random shit, totally random. It was probably the most random day I've worked at that bakery. Here, go put away this 15,000 pounds worth of supplies that came in this week, and then you got to make 500 cheesecakes, and then you've got to turn around and fix this table, and then go do the dishes and 10 other things. I don't even know. It's hilarious. But I like work. I like the people there, and it's a good environment. I will, if I'm gonna, I don't like the pay. I don't like the fact that I got to ride my bike 40 miles every time I do it. That's why I've reduced it down to twice a week. I've got paid work coming out my eyeballs right now, to the point where and this was weeks ago, this was a while ago. I put a freeze on doing quotes for new jobs until I can clear my plate, and get caught up. And so I've got a few people who want me to do stuff, and I've said, hold on, I can't. Gotta wait. And if they go somewhere else, if they decide whatever, they're going to do what they're going to do. I will not like get 5 more people lined up with a deadline and then get to the point where I can't do the job. It's bad enough that I'm backed up the way I am right now. But the people I'm working for found me through this channel, and so they've been really cool about dealing with the chaos that I'm dealing with. And they're all happy with what I've done. It's just, I wish I could have moved. I wish this would go faster. This wasn't, but between the limitations of probation was putting on me, there are just so many different factors that make this hard. And here come the comments about how I'm a lazy piece of shit. shut the fuck up, stop complaining, stop blaming everybody else. Somebody gave me some comment about how I'm just a victim. I just play the victim all the time. You're always blaming everybody else, and one of the things was the bad drivers. That I complain about the bad drivers. So, yeah, I'm the asshole. See, that's the thing. It's like the messenger's always the asshole. So I'm talking about how drivers in Houston want to kill you. They literally try to kill you when you're out on your bicycle. I'm the asshole. Not the guy. Like yesterday, I was on my way home. A guy pulled up to me. There's 2 lanes on this road going the direction I'm going. I'm on the right-hand side of the right-hand lane. This guy pulls up next to me, slows down to my speed, rolls down the passenger window, swerves into me, and starts calling me an asshole. I'm a stupid piece of shit. Get off of his fucking road. I hope you fucking die. I hope someone kills you. And all this, like, I'm getting death threats. I'm getting death threats when I ride my bicycle on the roads of Houston. Fucking death threats. I went to prison for threatening people. But these assholes can come up to me and roll down their window and threaten to kill me anytime they want, roll up their window and drive back to the Woodlands, to their McMansion, and they're not going to jail. They're not getting, maybe if I had a video camera on my helmet, do I have to have like the dash cam where every time I ride my bike, I got a camera on my helmet that records everything that's happening? I might. It would certainly make the channel. It might make the channel go viral. Maybe that's the ticket. Maybe God's trying to tell me, put a fucking camera on your helmet. If you want your YouTube channel to blow up, record all this shit. Because people love watching someone when they're down. And they love to come and kick you when you're down. So, watching a guy get death threats and get run off the road and getting into road rage fights with drivers 25 times a day in succession, if I edit all the clips together into one super clip, that might be the ticket to getting 1 million subscribers on YouTube. That would be the one that blows up. Look at everybody treating this bicyclist like a piece of shit. Ha ha ha! That's great! Everybody come watch this! I think it would work. I mean, pretty much anything that, like I keep saying, people don't go to watch auto races, they go to watch auto crashes. Tell me I'm wrong. First time a Formula One driver gets killed in a car that caught on fire and he burned to death because the gasoline caught on fire and nobody could get him out of the fucking car. Everybody's like, holy shit, we're never going to miss another race. Now that they're all safe, now that Formula One is safe, they've made the engines all quiet. The cars are perfectly safe. No one's ever going to get hurt in one of these cars again. Nobody watches Formula One anymore. Nobody gives a fuck about it. It's like golf is more exciting than Formula One now. People want to watch other people get hurt. People want to watch you when you fall. People want to kick you when you're down. That's the secret of all of this. If you don't believe me, look at the comments. When I'm talking about positive things about how life is moving forward, I moved to Houston, I'm not homeless anymore. Crickets. Nobody gives a shit. When I'm dealing with all this bullshit from this landlord, oh boy, they're all, haha, you piece of shit, you fucking deserve it, you scumbag, fuck you. Well, fuck you back. Fuck you back. You think, I know I'm supposed to just ignore it, but I'm not that guy. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to talk about it. And I've got things to say back. I'm going to have the last word. You're not. So, you can't, people are like, oh, you got to watch what you say. You won't be able to get a job. I can't get a job. That's not in the cards anymore. That's not something that is available to me in my life anymore. I got to find another way. Um, Reputation's gone. Therefore, like, here's the thing everybody knows. If I got on my hands and knees and grovel and beg and plead for forgiveness and kiss everybody's ass and be nice to everybody and say, I'll never say another mean thing again, and I'm so sorry, what I did was so wrong, which it was. Don't think that I don't think that. If I get on my hands and knees and beg and plead and grovel and kiss everybody's ass and say I'm sorry every day for the rest of my life, nobody's gonna respect me at all. And honestly, life is gonna turn out a hell of a lot worse than if I stand up for myself and say fuck you and 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 fuck you. All the people that leave the shitty comments and the troll comments and try to put me down and try to kick me when I'm down. Fuck you. I don't have to. I can say what I want now. Reputation ruined. So, okay, what are my choices? Get on my hands and knees, grovel, plead, beg and plead for forgiveness, kiss everybody's ass, never swear, never say a mean thing again, keep my head down, scrape and scrape and scrape to get by, and, tell everybody I'm sorry every day of my life, I'll never do it again, blah, 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 and just hang my head in shame for the rest of my life? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Or understand that my reputation's gone, it's ruined. For the rest of my life, you're going to be able to type my name into a search engine and find out what a piece of shit I am because I went to prison for mean tweets, and you're going to know all the shit to know about it. Can't hide from it. I wouldn't even be able to change my name and get away with it. Maybe I will change my name at some point. I don't fucking know. Why not? But the reputation's gone. Reputation's ruined. So that gives since reputation is now zero, like you're a complete fucking sack of shit. You'll never be able to work again. Everybody's gonna hate you. Blah blah blah. Does it make sense for me to cave in and kiss everybody's ass and beg and plead and cry and say I'm sorry and all that? Or can I just accept that I now I'm a card carrying license holder to say whatever the fuck I want? Because can't make it any worse. How am I going to make it worse? The only thing I could do to make it worse would be to commit a crime. Threaten somebody, even if it's a figure of speech. But, as long as I don't break the law, I have a legitimate license now, the I don't give a fuck license, IDGAF card, my IDGAF certification that says I can say whatever the fuck I want now. I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. All the things that you're afraid to say because you're afraid of losing your job, I get to say. I get to say it out loud. I get to say it as many times as I want now. If your CEO of your company is one of the CEOs that raped kids on Jeffrey Epstein Island, you can't talk about it. Even if he raped your kid, you can't talk about it. Why? Because you'll lose your job. And not only will you lose your job, that CEO that raped your kid on Jeffrey Epstein Island will make it so that you'll never get a job again, ever. So you just got to eat it. You just got to be like, well, I guess we're just going to have to let them rape our kids. I guess that's just how it is. We're going to have to let these people do what they do. Because if I say something about it, I'm going to lose my job. I'm not going to be able to put food on the table anymore. So I just got to keep my mouth shut and let them do whatever they want and just keep on keeping on. And as long as I keep my mouth shut and I put my head down and I do my work and I'm a good little boy, they'll keep putting food on my table. Well, they're not putting food on my table, so fuck them. I can talk about these pedophile scumbags that raped kids on Jeffrey Epstein Island all fucking day. And, other things and other topics that are taboo and I'm not supposed to talk about, I can be the one to talk about it now. That's probably how I'm going to have to figure out how to make my money. I'm going to have to be some sort of like Alex Jones guy who just says whatever the fuck he wants and gets paid to sit around bitching about the government all day. Because what else do I have? What else do I have to fall back on? I don't have a career anymore. I don't have my 30-year... Well, I do have my 30-year career, but I have to go out and find my own clients now. I can't find a company. I can't be an employee now. That would be the easy way out, to just go get a job being an employee for somebody, make enough money to get out of the hole I'm in, get a car, get a place to live, do all that stuff. But that's not an option for me anymore. Some guy, two people think that they could come to my channel and leave a comment that basically says, "I'm going to stop watching your videos if you don't stop doing what you're doing." Fuck you, go. Like, what the fuck is... Do you think I give a fuck? That, like, I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing because someone left a comment threatening me. "I'm going to stop watching your videos if you don't stop complaining about things." That's what somebody said yesterday. "I'm sick and tired of watching you complain about things. So if you don't stop, I'm going to stop listening to I'm going to stop watching your videos." Ooh, I'm shaking. I'm so fucking scared. Oh no. Some asshole's not going to watch my video. Ooh, darn. Like, "Oh, Mr. Big Shot. Oh, I lost my chance. Now my life is ruined. Now I don't know how I'm going to pick up the pieces from this disaster, because somebody's going to leave the channel because they don't like my Fucking go. There's like 20 million people putting videos up on YouTube every day. You don't got to watch this. There's nobody holding your face to the screen. But the reason why is you're glued to the fact that you like watching a train wreck. You like watching... You want me to fall on my face. You want me to be homeless again, and that's why you keep coming back, because you want to be able to go, "Ha ha, ha ha, told you, ha, that guy's a piece of shit, ha ha, look what happened to him." So you're gonna come back. That's the funny thing. You're threatening that you're gonna stop watching these videos because you're sick and tired of hearing somebody bitch and complain. But the funny thing is you're gonna watch every fucking video, and you're never gonna stop watching them, because you're waiting for that day that I'm walking around the streets of Houston giving you a tour of my cardboard box that I'm living in right now, so that you can leave a comment going, "Ha ha, ha ha, look at him, ha ha." And I don't give a fuck. Leave. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of cool motherfuckers coming to the channel and leaving comments and inspiration and, talking to me outside of the YouTube channel. There's so many people that have popped out of the woodwork that I would consider to be friends at this point, even though many of us, we haven't met in person yet. And so it's like, there's a woman, her name is Beth Martins. Look her up. She's kind of like a life coach kind of a person. Totally opposite personality from me. She's very humble. She's very peaceful, tranquil. She's kind of like almost like a yoga instructor kind of a personality. And, but, we're in lockstep when it comes to how we view the world and what, what's really going on in the world. And I got to know her over a period of time before I was arrested. And so during the COVID scam, she wouldn't go along with it either. And she was telling me and other people how she lost a ton of customers and a ton of business because she just wouldn't go along with the scam. But then, because of her stance and because of her firmness and because of her, people are like, "If you don't change the way that you talk and if you don't change your opinions about these things, I'm going to leave and I'm never coming back." And she's like, I mean, she's not the kind of person that's going to stick up a middle finger at somebody and tell them to go eat a bag of dicks. That's my personality. That's how I would handle the situation. She's a little more tactful about it. She'll just be polite and say, well, I guess that means we just have to part ways and we can agree to disagree. And I hope you have a good life and I hope you find what you're looking for. You know, she'll be like, she'll take the high road. I'm going to take that low, go eat a bag of dicks, fuck off, I don't give a fuck, etc., etc. But we're basically saying the same thing. We're just, it's a different way of saying it. And so she was talking to us about me and other people in a meet, like we were all in a Zoom call together. She was talking about, and I was doing some work for her, and she was talking about some of this stuff to me specifically when we were having our little meetings about some of the work I was doing. About how, because I'm going through it. You know, I was going through it even before the arrest. The My stance on the scam caused me to lose a lot of friends, family. I would say more than half of the. There are so many people I cut out of my life in 2020 forever, like people I will never say another word to again that were friends of mine, and like people I used to get along with and respect, and that's over. That's over with. We're never going back. You wanted to put me in a concentration camp because I wouldn't take a fucking shot. You wanted me to lose my job, working from home because I wouldn't take a shot. We're done. Like, you're not forgiven. You people are scum. You're fucking shit. I got nothing. Jesus wants me to forgive you. I'm going to have a problem with that. So that's where we're at. And maybe by forgiveness, it just means I forget about it and move on. I'm not going to like reconcile with you. I got nothing to say to you people ever again. Kind of like that. A lot of people left my life. She was talking about how a lot of customers, a lot of clients, a lot of people walked out on her because she wouldn't change her stance on the scam. But because she wouldn't change her stance on it, and because she held her ground, her business thrived because people came out of the woodwork, people that were aligned with her. And now she has a better business with clients that are in alignment with her. And like she's doing better now than she was. So yeah, she went through a period of loss and a period of, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is impacting my business. But then all of a sudden, people started to show up to the party who were, more in alignment. And so that's kind of what's happening to me. All these people that needed to get the fuck out of my life are gone because of the things I did, because of the things I say, because of the views that I have. And good fucking riddance at this point. Good riddance. They're gone. They're not coming back. And people are popping into my life that are better people to replace them. And the clients, the business that I can find, all the things that are, they're slowly being replaced with better things. And it's the same as like, this kind of falls into alignment with what I was saying in the previous video about how this whole thing with this tiny house and all the problems. I signed a 6-month lease to live here with the hopes that I could get out and find a better place. And now God is kind of setting me up, forcing me to go to a better place. And while he hasn't just outright dropped a better place into my lap just yet, there are some things going on that, let's just say there's a potential here that if, 3 months into a 6-month lease, all of a sudden I'm in a better place and there's absolutely no penalty. It's a stressful period, It usually is a stressful period when God's opening up a door. I keep talking about this in the videos over and over. When God's about to unlock a door that's been locked for a long time, it's like the stress, the attacks, the spiritual attacks, all the things, everything seems like it's falling apart and getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden the door opens and you get to go through the door and shut it behind you. Like all the demons are lying, it's kind of like in the Game of Thrones when Hodor, when you find out Hodor means hold the door, and he's holding the door to keep all the demons from getting his friends. Except in what I'm talking about, Hodor would have been able to go through the door too and just shut it behind him. Like Hodor could have held the door from the other side of the door. Um, it's kind of like that. It's that intense. It like all the attacks. It's like a crescendo. It just all comes at you because Satan doesn't want you to have good things. He doesn't want you to get through the door. He knows that if God opens a door for you, there's nothing he can do to stop you from going through it, but he's going to try to make you break before you can go through the door and shut it behind you. And the attacks, the hardships, the stress, the amount of nonsense that you're going to be putting up with, it ramps up. Ever since I got out of prison, every time I'm about to go to the next level, I talked about leveling up in a previous set of videos. Right before, and it's like a video game. Right before you're about to level up, you got to fight some boss or you've got to complete some challenge. And let's say you're like a level 3 wizard, with a wooden staff and you don't even have a jewel on it yet because you can't afford one of those. And, you got to go and you got to fight some demon. But you're on level, what did I say? Level 3, level 5, I don't know, but whatever level you're on, let's say you're level 5. For a while, everything's chill. You're walking around, you're picking up things, you're talking to people, you're fighting off enemies, but the enemies, you've leveled up to level 5, most of the enemies coming at you, you can just be like, fuck off. Swat them and they're gone. Hit them once and they're gone. Maybe there's a few that you got to hit them 3 times, and that's a pain in the ass. Maybe there's like 4 of them show up at once, and you got to hit all of them 3 times to make them go away or to kill them off. Whack, 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 whack. And so maybe like if 5 or 6 of these things gang up on you, you might have a problem. But you're a level 5 wizard, bitch. I can handle this. And so for a while you're on level 5 and everything's pretty easy. Every now and then there's a little challenge to get through, and then you get to the end of level 5 and there's this boss that's like, holy shit, you may get killed 6 times in a row before you can finally figure out how to even begin to beat it. And you're wondering, how the hell am I going to get past this? And eventually, and it might take some skill, some strategy. You might have to figure out a way to underhandedly beat it. But at some point, you're going to beat it, and you're going to get to level 6. But it gets really, really hard right before you get to the next level. That's the pattern of video games right there. That's like the pattern of life matches the pattern of the video game. Right before you get to the level up point where you're going to get the next level, everything gets really, really, really difficult. Super Mario Brothers, every time you level up to like level 2, level 3, the first couple of boards are pretty easy. Then all of a sudden you get to a part that's almost impossible. And until you can figure out how to get past that impossible situation, you don't get to level 4. And so it's kind of like the reward is getting to the next level. But you have to beat the boss. You have to solve the puzzle. You have to complete the challenge. You have to beat the boss, maybe all three things at once. And then you get to go to the next level. It's like your test to see if you're ready for the next level. And so that's what's happening right now. I'm up against the boss. I got to beat, I've got this dirty Slumlord, and he's the boss of level 4. And I've got to put him down. I got to beat him. I got to figure out how to get past the Slumlord boss of the level 4 dungeon, and then I can move on to level 5. And whatever level 5 is going to bring and throw my way, which is probably, each boss is going to get worse. But when you're like a level 10, and you, like, let's say you're level 10 and somehow you could go back to level 4 and fight the boss again as a level 10 magician. You're no longer a wizard, you're a straight up level 10 magician now. When you get to, if you were to go back to level 4 and fight that boss, you would literally just be able to go whack with your staff, your emerald jeweled, your solid oak emerald jeweled staff, one whack, and that boss is going to go down. You don't even have to fight the boss anymore. You can just cast a spell, boom, it's gone. Like, you're just gonna be able to flick it off the screen. It's like you go, that boss that took so much energy out of you and was so hard to beat, but now you're a level 10. That boss has absolutely no chance to even touch you or cause you a harm or scratch you, even though that boss used to be the nemesis and the bane of your existence. Now it's nothing because you are a much higher level now, and you don't have to worry about that piece of shit Slumlord in his dungeon. You're off to the you're working your way up to the top floor of the castle. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, I just have to keep realizing that when you get right before you're about to get to a better level, you got to go through some sort of bullshit to get there. And so 3 months into a 6-month lease, this landlord's trying to force me to move out. And he's giving me, well, he's doing more than that. He's burying himself in retarded ass shit that's going to come back to bite. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be in a better place. When it all works out, I'm going to be in a better place physically and mentally. And it'll happen. It's like, okay, am I really going to fight back against this and force myself to live in this hellhole when I'm being given the opportunity to get out? And it's not easy. Like, this isn't like I don't have the money in the bank to just do this. Like, I need to get a car. This is a major, major, major obstacle in me getting a vehicle. But if I just sit back and let God do his thing, maybe God's going to put me in a better place that's tranquility and peace will reign. And then all of a sudden, the peace of mind and all of those things will turn into me getting better things in life. A good example of that concept is I lived in this house outside of Pittsburgh in Castle Shannon. There's a lot of Pittsburgh people who watch this channel. So I lived down in Castle Shannon. I hated this house. There were reasons we moved into it that were good. But my life was just turmoil and trauma and just a mess for a long time around the time I moved into that house. And it just kept getting worse. And I needed to move out of that house. That house was causing me a lot of problems and stress. Not the same as this situation here, but different. And I moved, so on January 1st, new year, new me, resolution time, I went I decided to, I know how hard it can be to find a place to live if you're renting. And so I figured I got until the end of May to find a place. So I am going, that was what I worked out with the landlord. I had a December to December lease, and when the December renewal came up, I said to the guy, I said, I don't want to live here much longer. You want to do a 6-month lease? I'll leave at the end of May. That gives you 6 months to find a new tenant. And it also allows you to find a new tenant in the middle of summer or at the beginning of summer when the weather's nice and people are more likely to want to move. I feel like it's a win-win for both of us, and he agreed to it. And so now I have until the end of May. And I said, look, I go, if for whatever reason I decide to stay, we'll make it a June to June lease. But at least that gets you out of having to, because he was a stickler about the lease to the letter. And there was no, so like, there was absolutely no, usually in Pittsburgh, if you sign a 1-year lease and then the landlord doesn't make you sign a new lease, it's a month-to-month lease, and you only have to give 30-day notice to leave. This guy was a stickler. Like, he was on lease renewal day, he was on it. Are we signing another year? He's going to get you locked into that year. And I said, look, I don't want to sign another year. How about 6 months? And he agreed to it because he saw the advantages of what I was proposing. And so it worked for both of us. But on January 1st, I decided to be serious about finding a place to live. The very first ad in Craigslist, the first ad in the housing section was the house that I moved into. It was like it fell into my lap. This beautiful home out in the middle of Amish country. And, you know, it had everything. It was next to a 30-foot waterfall, for crying out loud. You don't find, this isn't something, this was a magical thing I found. But it was far. It was an hour and 20 minutes to drive there. It was at least, well, it was like an hour and a half, depending on traffic. And I was south of Pittsburgh. So for me to go through Pittsburgh traffic and then drive out there, it was a haul. It was a haul. And all these people were telling me what a mistake it would be. My girlfriend at the time didn't like the idea. And I'm like, how? But everybody, like, she was like, as soon as we went and saw that place, I knew you'd already made up your mind. I was trying to talk myself out of it. She goes, as soon as we got there and you walked around and saw the place and you could hear the waterfall and see the waterfall, she was like, I already knew your decision was made. There was nothing anybody was going to do to change your mind on this. And yeah, that's true. It was a done deal. I tried to find a reason not to, but it was hard. It was a very difficult move. Everything was difficult right around that 3-4 months. The day I moved in, I hurt my back really bad. I ended up having to go to the ER. Like, there was the level up, right before the level up, the boss came, and it was hard to beat the boss. But after I moved into that house, I lived there for 6 years before the FBI, and I would have kept living there. The FBI showed up, took everything away. My life did a 180-degree transformation after I lived there, because the place was peace and quiet, tranquility. It was beauty. I was surrounded by beautiful nature and everything else, and it was just a happy, happy, happy place. And I went through my ups and downs over the years that I was there, but every year things were improving at a rapid pace. My career took off like a rocket ship. You think, how does your career take off when you move out to the middle of nowhere? You know what I mean? But my career took off like a rocket ship after I moved there. All these other things, like everything in my life just got way better, way better. In so many ways I can't even describe. And it was all because I got out of a toxic pit that I was living in a neighborhood I couldn't stand, with asshole neighbors I hated. And I moved out to a place that was beautiful, with good neighbors, surrounded by good people everywhere, in a tranquil, serene, beautiful environment in a really nice house and all of these things, and I struggled financially for a while, and then that fell into place, and my career just kept taking off, and things just kept going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And it was all because of moving into that house that was put in my lap and put right in front of me, right at the time that I needed it to happen. The deal that I worked out was so good that I couldn't say no. I proposed, I'm like, why don't I give you the down payment and then move April 1st? And they were like, okay. Like, how many landlords are going to do that on January 1st? Take a down payment, but I can't move until April 1st. They were fine with it. There were so many, like, I can't even, I don't know. So, there's something like that going on right now, but I don't know if it'll work. There's a very specific reason why it probably won't, but that's okay. What I'm getting at is that I feel like God is doing all of this and letting all of this happen on purpose because he sees that I can't do what I need to do where I am right now. Between the bicycling, I'm wearing myself out in a rapid pace. And on top of, it's bad enough that I've got to go to this job where I ride my bike 40 miles each time I do it and do back-breaking physical labor. Like, I can hardly walk right now. I got out of this chair to walk over to the computer 4 steps or less to have my meeting, and my legs were wobbly. And it's like, go ahead, call me a lazy piece of shit because the only thing I did yesterday was go on a 20-mile bicycle ride in, well, it wasn't in the rain, but it was the rain had just stopped right when I left. Rode my bicycle 20 miles, got changed, had a little bit to eat for breakfast, turned around, stacked up 15,000 pounds worth of heavy boxes and bags. Then I turned around and made, a couple hundred cheesecakes. Then I flipped a table upside down. And all right, so there's a break in the video because the phone cut out. Yeah, this phone, it's weird. Like, it's just, I think the only way to really fix the problems is to completely wipe the phone and start from scratch and kind of reinstall everything. But it seems like I'm not running out of space in terms of I think I've always had the same amount of free space when I delete the videos, but there's an issue going on now where the phone used to tell me, hey, you're running low on space, you might want to wrap this up. Now it doesn't do that anymore. It just goes chunk, gone. So when the phone is full, the video camera stops. Just cold turkey. Boom. So what I was saying is, so yeah, people are going to call me a lazy piece of shit because the only thing I did yesterday was get on a bicycle, ride 40 miles at 6:30 get up at 5:30 in the morning, get up at 5 in the morning, my bad. Start getting ready at 5:30 in the morning, get on a bicycle at 6:30 in the morning, ride 20 miles right after a torrential downpour. I'm thankful that it didn't rain on me, that's for sure. That's been a sign from above. So many times I could get drenched on these bicycle rides, and it almost never happens. It happens once in a while, but almost, I would almost say since January 1st, it's happened maybe one time. And we're talking about anywhere from 3, sometimes 5 or 6 days in a week. Sometimes, lately only 2 days a week riding back and forth to this job. It almost never happens. And it rains a lot here. So that, hey, I'll take it. I'll take a win where I can get one. But people are going to call me lazy because, I got up at 5 in the morning, was ready to go at 6:30, rode a bicycle 20 miles, got changed, ate my breakfast, jumped into lifting 15,000 pounds of bags and boxes, putting all that stuff away. That took about 3 hours. After that was done, jumped into making, a couple hundred cheesecakes, 26 pounds of cream cheese, however many cheesecakes that makes. That's a lot. And then flipped a table upside down, took it all apart, put that all back together, got that all out of the way, washed a bunch of dishes. I definitely did numerous other things. Did some stuff with these carrot cakes that took over an hour for that. I mean, if I listed all the things I might do in an 8-hour span at that job, it's like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. And then get changed, jump back on the bicycle, ride 20 miles home, sat on a bench for about half an hour to an hour. Well, it was probably an hour, recording another video. Then I got home. What did I do when I got home? I pretty much crashed out. I ate. In fact, I was thinking about stopping at that damn Burger King, and I talked myself out of it because I instantly thought, well, I didn't instantly, but when I got close to the Burger King and I was about to do it, something in my head goes, hey, you can do cheese and crackers when you get home. I had some ham thawed out in the fridge, some sliced lunch meat ham, and some cheese and crackers, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Perfect. It's not the most healthy thing in the world, but it certainly beats the crap out of some Burger King. Plus, didn't have to spend any money to do that. So, got that done. Got home, ate a little bit, and I was falling asleep in this chair. So, I put myself to bed. Today, when I woke up, so yeah, that's how much of a lazy piece of shit I was yesterday. Got up today, though, and it was like, I had to be up and I had to be on a Zoom meeting at 10 o'clock. Client's time is 10 o'clock. It was 9 o'clock my time. So 9 o'clock, I'm up. I had to get up before that, grab some coffee, and just wake up a little bit. But it was after 8 o'clock, before 9 o'clock. But I've noticed this after the stock rotate, after the day where I lift all the heavy stuff at work. That's the day that crushes me. Like Tuesdays, it seems, week after week right now, I'm really hurting on energy. Like, it's bad. The energy drain is so out of whack right now. I really don't accomplish much on Tuesdays anymore. That I've made this adjustment from going, when I was doing the 3-day a week at the bakery, it was Friday, Saturday, and Monday. That's the way my mind, it's honestly, according to the work schedule, it's Monday, Friday, Saturday. But according to my internal clock and my body rhythm now, it's Friday, Saturday, Monday. And then I took Friday out, so it's Saturday, Monday. But that's the way my mind is seeing everything. Like, the first day of the week is the first day I ride the bike, and then it ends Monday when I get home. And whether I'm doing 3 days or what. And the beautiful thing is, they seem to give me the hours I ask for. If I wanted to work, I don't know if they would give me 40 hours a week, because business there's an ebb and flow to it. In fact, they were talking about sending me home early on Saturday last weekend. And somebody asked me, well, how many hours have you worked this week? And I said, well, this is only my second day. And they said, oh, you can stay. We'll send somebody else home. And I was like, so if I had worked 3 days this week, I might have got less hours than working 2. Like that. Yeah. So, oh, I'm just out of it today. The best I can do shaving right now is an electric trimmer. And I'm kind of like 1 or 2 days away from where I have to do it. or I just can't take. I can take 1 or 2 more days of this before it's like, and that's just what I can take in terms of itchiness and feeling nasty. When I can take regular showers again, you're going to see a transformation because I am sick of living like this. I'm sick of it. Like, I'm not going to shave every day. That doesn't work for me. It just, my skin doesn't handle it well. But I looked better than this when I was homeless. Go back and see the videos. There were days I let myself go when I was homeless. But I've been a fucking train wreck for the last couple of months in terms of my appearance. And I just don't care. Like, I'm losing a little bit of weight. In fact, okay, so in order to keep my perspective and my head screwed on straight right now through this trial that I'm going through, a year ago, when I got out of prison, because of how crazy everything was with who I was living with, I was keeping a journal. I was really, really meticulously documenting what I was doing, like, and I still do to a degree. How many jobs, I can tell you how many jobs I've applied to, and I can tell you all the details that happened with all of the job applications. And I'm closing in on 600 of those. So I can tell you in great detail, down to dates, messages that went back and forth. I have a tool that helps track that stuff. So it's all I have to do is enter things into it. It reminds me I have to enter one. Anyway, I had all these different things I was tracking. I've eased up a little bit on it because I'm just overloaded and overwhelmed right now. But from the day I got home from prison to the day that I became homeless. In fact, it was like the day after I came homeless. I'm pretty sure I didn't check. I think it was like the first week after I became homeless, I stopped putting stuff in this little journal. I still update it from time to time with like dates and counting the number of days to this or since that. I kind of keep a general like count going on of like how many days of probation I have left, and that, and just how many days since I moved to Texas, and just things like that help me mentally see the bigger picture. I notice trends. I can stop beating myself up because I can say, it's only been so many days since whatever, or you've only got so many days until whatever. So it's just a mental trying to do things to keep my mind from going off the rails. Because I don't think anybody could go through what I've been through and have a perfectly sound and healthy mind. The psychiatrist that I saw, she didn't see the need for me to keep coming in or go on a treatment plan or anything like that, but even she said there's no way. She told me that if you told me nothing's wrong and you feel perfectly fine and mentally healthy, she'd have been like, you would have been full of shit. I mean, those are almost her exact words. And she said I probably would have had a problem with that because this was like a court-ordered thing. She's like, but you were honest with me. You told me everything that you're feeling and whatnot. And she goes, you have every right to, and she's like, I honestly feel like you're handling things quite well. There's people that are in much worse mental shape that have been through a lot less. She's like, she asked me what I do to deal with it, and I laid out whatever it was at the time. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to give you a clean bill of health, and I know a lot of people on this channel a lot of the trolls were really pissed off about that because they wanted to see me dragged off in a straitjacket and pumped full of drugs and put in a mental hospital. Well, sorry, folks, it didn't happen. But it's not easy. It's not, none of this is easy. And so I'm just doing the raw video. I'm showing you guys. You know, I'm not hiding behind some fake bullshit persona. Hey, everybody, I'm Mr. Positive, and welcome to the YouTube channel, and subscribe and give me the thumbs up and all that garbage, and just like this whole fake positive bullshit. Just giving it to you like it is. Some days are good, some days are bad. I was, you know, the first day I moved into the tiny house, I was like, all right, I got my own place. I was happy, even though it wasn't like anything to be proud of. You know, I did it. I got to the next level. And so, but the troll, you know, like I've been saying in the video that you're watching today, the trolls, holy fuck, have they come out in force. But on the flip side, a lot of cool people have been giving me messages and either comments on the channel or coming in through the backside to say all kinds of cool stuff, you know, encouragement and otherwise. It's been a lot of, there's been a few people kicking into the digital chicken bucket. Is that what I call it? Man. I think I call it the digital chicken bucket. Donate.litgood.com. I don't plug everything enough right now. I need to get into like a plug routine. It might be something I could work on today, like the plug routine. Print it. My printer table's covered in empty water bottles right now. It's just, everything is, I can tell how fucked up my mind is when I look around the place and I don't even have the energy to, like, the dishes are stacked up. Everything's just fucked. The landlord's saying, oh, I'm going to get around to fixing the hot water again by April 30th. It's April 22nd. You've been fucking dicking me around since the day I moved in. Somebody on the channel left a comment that I just saw that said, you should be nice to your landlord. Fuck you. I'll be about as nice to my landlord as I'm being to you right now, you fucking retard. Maybe you haven't been watching the channel. Maybe you're new here and you saw one video of me getting mad about it. That shit was broken on February 1st when I moved in, and now it's April 22nd. And not only do I not have hot water, he's made the water situation even worse. Because I used to be able to take a shower, but now when you turn on the shower, no water comes out at all. Somebody said it could be a clogged shower. No, it's not a clogged shower head. He physically turned off the water to different things, and I had to force him to turn on the water supply to the sink so I could have at least cold water come out of the faucet, but the hot water knob doesn't work at all, and I can flush the toilet. That's it. I have a cold water spigot and a toilet. No shower, no hot water spigot. At least before, the hot water would come out and it would be kind of warm because there was an electric on-demand water heater that just didn't work. It would only get up to like lukewarm. It wouldn't get hot. And the problem is, he said, this was day one when I moved in here, and I didn't think anything of it. I figured, let him know, and he'll fix it. And that was February 1st. And now it's April 22nd, and not only has he not fixed it, he's made the situation even worse. So no, I'm not being nice. I'm not being a dick to his face and stomping my feet and throwing a tantrum. But that's called, you know, hold your cards to your chest. Because some shit's about to go down, and I'm just like, oh, I'll give him. He gave me a fist bump the other day, and I was like, okay, sure, here's your fist bump. Keep on keeping on thinking that things are cool, because they're not. And you'll find you fucked around, you're going to find out. things are not cool. And we're past that point. Um, you'll know the whole story. You'll see a different backdrop behind me when you hear the rest of the story. And but even I don't know how the story's going to end just yet. I just know what's in the works. So it's just, I got to do it one day at a time. That's all I got. I'm going to be probably going on another bike ride this week. I mean, I'm giving you little clues. I'm probably going to have to go on a 27 plus 27, that's 40 and 54-mile bike ride. If I can, unless I can finagle a way to get to and fro, which I might be able to. I'm going to actually, when I get off the video here, I'm going to reach out and see if I can save myself a bike ride. But it's like just timing, everything's just, I just don't know how this is going to end. I really do keep asking the good Lord to calm me down and help me see it from the other side. Like, maybe God just wants to improve my life. And instead of me hemming and hawing about having to pack my bags and move before my lease is up, maybe that's the best thing. Maybe I'll find something where I'm like, oh my God, thank God that landlord fucked up. Like, think about it. Like, what if a month from now I'm sitting here and I'm in some beautiful setting and I'm like, and things are way better than they were before. And I'm telling all of you people, thank God that landlord wouldn't fix the hot water for 3 months because it put me here. Like, that's just one aspect of it. I was going to have to sit in that tiny house and deal with this thing, all the things that even if the hot water got fixed, if the hot water was fixed, this place would be tolerable. But there's a lot of other things about this place that really suck. And it's not, there are better options out there. When I found this place, I didn't have time to find the better options. But since the day I moved in here, I've been exploring better options, bookmarking things, having little conversations and such. But I was planning on being here for 6 months at the very minimum, and possibly more. But 6 months was the plan, so I wasn't in a hurry. But I was like, better to bookmark and to kind of, take notes, if you will. And maybe a unicorn will jump out at me. And so that was from day one in here. Not day one, but day 10. I was already looking, but not looking seriously. When I talk about I just talked about in this video how the best place I ever lived in my life was the first ad on Craigslist. The very first ad. On the day I got serious about looking for a place, I looked at one ad and I found my place. That was weird. But for 6 months leading up to that, now in June, I had, how did it work? Okay, so in June, the landlord, the lease would have been up in December. 6 months before the end of the lease, I asked the landlord if he would be okay with a 6-month lease. Told him I wanted to get out of the house, but I wanted to go 6 months past the end of December. And we went back and forth, not like in a mean spirit, but the benefits, it benefit him too. He got 6 more months to find a tenant. He got a year, he had a year notice. So I gave him a 1-year notice that I would be leaving at the end of May the following year. And he was fine with it. So when December came to sign the new lease, and he was a stickler about that, He would put a new piece of paper in front of me with a lease agreement and sign it. Because in Pennsylvania, if he doesn't do that, then it renews on a month-to-month basis, and then all the cards are in my hand. Because then all I need to do is give a 30-day notice that I'm leaving, and he can't do anything about that. And so he wants you locked into that lease so that you have to wait until the end of the lease, or you end up having to pay the whole... And he would have been a stickler about paying the entire lease. And so he was a crooked guy, but he wasn't even close to what I'm dealing with right now. He was just a stickler to the letter, legalist. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I knew that I had to give him plenty of notice, and I gave him a year's notice. So it all worked out. There was some shit that went on at the end of the lease. When I finally moved out, we went back and forth and had it out a little bit, but it was over with. One phone call, and it was over with. For good, and I've never talked to the guy since. But, like I told you, January 1st, I went to Craigslist. The ad was at the top of the list. It was the first ad on Craigslist under housing. I was like, holy crap, I need to respond to this. I did. Went and looked at it on January 2nd. Gave him the money, the deal was done. Very first, I looked at one ad. But for 6 months leading up to that, I had casually looked at ads. I would casually browse Craigslist. I would casually browse... There was another app called Pad Mapper. This guy was brilliant. He made an app, a free app. It was a Google map that had all the apartments available and rental units listed on it, and he aggregated them from Craigslist and a bunch of other places, and he put them on a map, kind of like Zillow, but it was better. This was the best rental listing website I've ever seen in my life. Craigslist sued the guy out of oblivion. That guy who owns Craigslist is a fucking piece of shit. He's a scumbag. Like, all the dirty deeds that guy has done are... The list would fill... The list... Craigslist isn't big enough to hold the list of dirty deeds that Craig has done over the years. But it's still a tool in your toolbox. But anyway, Craigslist sued the shit out of this guy for making that app, and the app disappeared. And there hasn't been anything that good since. But anyway, I was using all these different apps, and I was looking at... What I was looking at was not... I was not looking at going to look at places. What I was looking at was trying to get a ballpark of what I would need to spend every month to have the place I need. So I needed a place where my son could have a bedroom and have his space, where I could have my own space, and I needed an office. I needed to be able to work from home, because I was working from home. And so, and this was back in like 2015. 2015 was it? Sounds about, yeah, 2015. And so So occasionally, every other week, I'd spend half hour to an hour just browsing. I was window shopping. I wasn't serious. I wasn't ready to make a move. I just was like, oh, okay, a 3-bedroom house in this neighborhood costs this much. A 3-bedroom house in this neighborhood costs this much. And I just was making a mental note. And I came to the conclusion of what I would have to pay per month. And then this place out in Amish country comes in, and it's the exact number that I was expecting I would have to pay for the place that I found. It just happened to be 100 times better than any of the places I found for that price. Partly because it was so far out in the middle of nowhere that everything out there was cheaper. And it was kind of a win-win, because people in that area are broke and they can't afford what I was paying for this house, even though it was $1,100 a month. But I had to pay all the utilities and, everything, including trash. It had a well, so the water was free. but I had to pay the electric. I don't think there wasn't, well, there was electric, there was a propane system, there was trash, internet. There may have been something else, there may have been something else I'm not thinking of, but I had to pay it all. And it was fine. No, it was in the budget of what I was already expecting to have to pay, but I had done a little bit of homework. And so that's what I'm doing when I moved into this little place. I know I have 6 months to find a place, but I need to start looking now just to get an idea of what's out there. I was doing that a little bit when I moved to Texas in September. I didn't have the money I didn't have the means to move. I didn't think I did. Maybe I did, but I didn't think I did. And I was limiting my search to try and be within 5 to 10 miles of where my friend lived and where the bakery job was. And that is 100% impossible. You can't get an affordable place to live anywhere near the Woodlands. It's the richest. It's not. There are other rich parts of Houston, but the Woodlands is one of the richest neighborhoods in the whole city of Houston. You're not going to find anything affordable close to it. And where my friend lives and where I worked just happens to be right there. And so, but you can't find anything. You literally cannot find anything affordable anywhere near where I work right now. So what I was thinking is, well, I'm going to find a place to live and then I'll figure out how to get a job that's closer to that place. And now with all the shit up in the air, this is another thing that keeps happening to me. Sorry to the fucking douchebags in the comments calling me out saying I'm playing the victim mentality. I didn't sign up for a fucking piece of shit landlord who didn't want to provide hot water to a tenant. I signed up to pay rent for 6 months here. Like, who else is there to blame? How is that my fault? The day that I moved in and I pay my rent on time and this fucking bag of shit doesn't want to fucking do his part of the bargain. That's not my fault. So I'm a piece of shit for calling that out and for talking about that? Fuck you. But anyway, so what I'm saying is I started to look for a job close to the tiny house where I'm living now. And I haven't found one yet. I've put in a lot of applications, but I haven't found one yet. It's weird. There's so many businesses within walking distance from here, but I put in application after application and I get no phone calls or emails. Back where my friend lived, I'd put in applications and I'd get phone calls and emails about them. Down here where I live now, it's like there are no jobs. And I'm not 100% sure that that's true. It's just strange that there's so much here, but yet I can't crack any of it open. But now I've been here for 3 months and I stopped looking because now it's completely up in the air. Where am I going to live? So, for example, what if out of the most ironic shit imaginable, I found a job that was 1 mile away or less and I could walk to it. And then all of a sudden I have to pack up my shit and move 20 miles away. Closer, let's just say I found a place close to where my friend lives. Out of some magical coincidence, and now I'm back to riding 20 miles each way to work. After I moved, you know what I mean? It's kind of like when I was in Jamestown and I was feverishly looking for a job, and then my probation officer told me, don't bother, you're going to have to go to Pittsburgh because we don't want you here anymore. You don't have a place to live, you don't have a job, you have no ties to Jamestown, we're going to kick you out. We're kicking you out of the district. Just, be advised. And then for the next 4 months, they let me wander around being homeless, telling me that I was going to have to leave and go to Pittsburgh, but not giving me a date and not telling me when. How, and I still did look for a job, but I didn't look as hard because they were telling me it didn't matter. Like, they were literally telling me, you can find a job here, but we're still going to make you leave. Why would you bother? I thought maybe if I could find a job and kind of get things going and magically find a place to live in Jamestown, I could stay there. That they would change their mind and say, okay, we'll give you a chance. But I didn't. But I figured if I'm going to put all the energy into looking for a job, may as well look for a professional job or a remote job. And I was even applying to companies and jobs down in Pittsburgh, but I couldn't tell them that was a challenge in and of itself because I couldn't say when I was going to go in for an interview. I'm not going to apply for a job at, Burger King in Pittsburgh and have them call me up and say, can you come in for an interview next Wednesday? And I'll be like, nah, no, why not? Oh, because I have to get permission from my probation officer and blah. No. So I'm making my decisions based on the facts and what's on the table in front of me. And right now, I'm not in the mood to find a job a quarter mile or less from where I live right now and like 3 weeks later be living somewhere else and all of a sudden I'm 25, 30 miles away from the job. And so I have to figure out what's happening with my living situation first and just keep the job I have until this sorts itself, until I sort this out, God sorts this out, or it sorts itself out, whatever you want to call it. I'm not making a move on changing a job. Now, if somebody called me and said, hey, we got your application a few weeks ago, you want to come in for an interview? Of course I'll go in for an interview. And I also think if God wants me to get the hell out of this place, like maybe the shoddy workmanship that they did on running gas lines, I'm sure that there were no permits. I don't know. It doesn't look like I really don't feel, I don't know. I don't really feel like I want to know. So if that work that they did on these gas lines or whatever, what if they did something wrong and the house blows up? Like, have you ever seen what it looks like when a house explodes? What if God's trying to get me out of here before this guy's house explodes? Like, what if I see it on the news? Like, what if a friend sends me a link and says, hey, check this out. Was that your place? Oh my God! Like, what if he's trying to save me from that? I just need to look at a bigger picture and not be so upset and not fight it so much. So many weird things. Like I said, in Jamestown, literally the day before they called me and gave me permission to go to Texas, I found work and I had a hook on a place to live, even if it was temporary. So even if they told me we're denying your transfer to Houston, I could have had a place to live and enough money to really get on my feet almost instantaneously. But I didn't have the part-time. Well, I could have even had a part-time. Like, I could have got work. Like, things could have worked out up there. But it happened the day before I left. Or the day before I was told to leave to go to Houston. And so I just felt like I was supposed to come here. Everything fell into place for me to come here. So I'm trying to sort all this out. Like, why am I here? Why did God bring me here? Because I really do feel like he brought me here. But I don't know why. I don't know what I'm really supposed to do here in Houston. I think part of it was surviving the winter. I think he helped me I think one of the reasons he brought me here, literally, was to survive the winter. The Western New York winter would have destroyed me. I was already in a bad way. I couldn't get a car, I couldn't get a place to live. Now it's like the first week of winter, September, You know, it's September now. Winter is setting in. You know, because summer in Western New York is July, August is fall, September is winter. Um, it was already winter, and I'm like, I don't, you know, things are gonna get really, really bad if I don't. And then I was able to come back down to Houston. All of a sudden, I get out of the van and it's summer again. And it was summer all the way until around just before Thanksgiving. I remember the first 40-degree morning when I rode into work, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a bit nipply out today." But it was September, October. It was like an extra 2 months of hot, hot summer, and then all of a sudden one morning I get up and it's 45 degrees outside, and I'm like, "Ooh." But I was only riding a bike for 15 minutes to get to work, so the temperature doesn't have the same effect when it's that quick of a bike ride. When it's 20 miles or more, it's a different situation. The cold is different. Hits a lot different when the distance goes up. The cold hits harder. You got to be more dressed for it. And it's never good. I never do good on a bike ride when it's cold. It's literally just pedaling to get somewhere. I'm not. There's nothing about speed. There's no. There not. It's literally just put your head down and get there. Now that it's warm, I'm having a little bit of fun with it. I'm enjoying it more. I don't hate it when I'm on the bicycle. I hate when I get before I get on the bike. I hate it. But when I get on the bike and I take like 4 pedal strokes, even if some obnoxious asshole on the road starts his bullshit with me, my adrenaline is already up to the point where I'm like, "Bring it, you motherfucker!" Like bring it. Like I'm a different person when I'm on the bike. I used to race. I used to do mountain bike racing, cross country, a little bit of downhill. Um, and this was like the mid 1990s where even downhill racing wasn't what it is today. And and I did a lot of road racing. And then when I was in college, I did a few mountain bike races, and then I quit, gained like a ton of weight. And then it took some years, but then I got into like underground racing, like alley cat racing and long distance self supported racing, and just gravitated towards I enjoy long distance cycling now, either as whether it's a race or whether it's for fun. That's what I enjoy the most. It's a different vibe. Racing's for you 20 to 25-year olds. When you're 40, 45 years old, that's why you always see the old guys out on the long distance rides with the covered in bags and stuff like that. Now I get it. Back in the day, I used to laugh at those guys, and now I'm like, now I get it. I totally understand why the old guys like going on those long ass rides, because it's like it's a great way to enjoy the countryside and to see things that and to experience like nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I want to be able to. I mean, I would like to have the independence to ride my bicycle across America, coast to coast. I would like to be able to say I did it at least once. I know people who've done it dozens of times. Um, at the pace that I ride, 100 miles a day, generally speaking, with certain days off, and then some light days of 20 to 50 miles mixed in. 3 months would be enough time. Most people, most people who ride at the level I ride have told me give yourself 3 months conservatively. And it is one of those things I know from the long distance riding that I've done, that you get stronger and stronger as you ride, but it's just like life. It's just like what I'm going through right now. There are going to be ups and downs, and there are going to be days where you're absolutely miserable and you want to quit and go home and you hate every minute of it. And then there's going to be days where you're so on top of the world and feeling great and flying and making good time and going fast and just loving every minute of it. Um, and so I would love to do that. I'm getting up. I don't feel like I'm old. I'm 49 years old, but I know at the like what I feel like right now, I rode my bike 78 miles the other day and it didn't bother me that much. I stopped at, when I stopped at Chipotle, I was about 60, 61, 62 miles in. And I stopped at Chipotle because I couldn't go any farther. It was what's called hitting the wall. You burned your carbohydrate. You completely burned all your sugar. It's gone. Um, and your body's basically just eating itself. And you feel it hard. When it happens, you feel it. They call it hitting the wall because it happens in the blink of an eye. Like, you go from feeling fine to like, holy shit, I'm gonna pass out, like in the snap of a finger. It's fast. And I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming because I just know how to read this. Covered in salt. I don't get covered in salt when I ride to the bakery 20 miles. There's no salt on my clothing. Even when the sweat dries out, it's not full of salt. That 78-mile day, every time I look down, it looks like the damn Bonneville Salt Flats. I have a dark blue shirt that looks like the Bonneville Salt Flats when I look down at it. And I'm like, oh, that's something that's going to hurt in about however long. But I was like, I had to make a choice. Do I eat here or do I wait? I think it was 20 miles. So I was at the 40-something mile mark. I'm like, I can go 20 more miles. And I was thinking to myself, I want to get past this road that drove me nuts. And unfortunately, there's going to be nowhere to eat. But if push comes to shove, there's some convenience stores. I could tap out and stop at it's not 7-Eleven, but like a convenience store. There's going to be Gatorade, snacks, some shitty ass hot dogs rolling around on a thing, like that kind of garbage. There's going to be something to eat. But I was fixated on Chipotle all day. All day. From the moment I left the house, I was like, I want Chipotle so bad. And so I never even saw that there was a Chipotle in the neighborhood. And as I'm coming back, I go across this bridge, and I know on the other side of this bridge, there's a suburban sprawl that's going to come in. It's like a mirage. Like, way before I get to the bridge, it's like a mirage in the desert. Really far away. I could kind of see it. Suburban sprawl is that way, but it's still another, 5 miles away, but I can see it off in the distance. I go across this big long bridge. The bridge is probably a mile long. I get to the other side of the bridge, and I'm coming into suburban sprawl, and I'm like, I wonder what there is to eat. And I decide, I'm like, I'm going slow enough, and there's a big shoulder. I open up Google Maps, and because I have a dashboard on my bike, I can mount my phone right there like it's in your car. I'm like, pull up Google Maps. I'm like, I start typing in CHIP, and it's like, oh, you want Chipotle? And it showed me, and then I could see with my naked eye. I look up, the very first thing, the very first place that I could have possibly eaten anything was Chipotle when I got to the suburban sprawl. There was nothing before it. And like, Chipotle was the very first thing in the whole neighborhood. And I started laughing. It was like I was like crying and laughing at the same time. Like, thank you, Lord Jesus, for this delicious burrito I'm about to eat, because, oh my goodness, dude, that could not have worked out any better. Like, I was so shocked that there was a Chipotle there, and that was it. Like, that was, wow, that hit the spot. But that bike ride itself didn't do much to me physically. It hurt for a few days, as expected. If I went and played an hour and a half in a soccer match right now, after not having played for a long time, I would be hurting for a week. I would be sore and tired and lethargic and no energy. And yeah, after that, and some of the reason why I was so out of it in the videos that you're watching where I basically hit the bottom of this valley, that mentally, part of it was because of the energy drain that bike ride put on me. And so was it worth it? I don't know. Something came out of that bike ride that's interesting, and it hasn't quite gone one way or the other, and I'm not sure what to think about it right now. But was it worth it? Yeah, because I got to see some pretty cool stuff. It showed me, what it did was showed me that I would probably enjoy living in Texas a lot more if I can get out of the city. If I can get out of the city but be close enough to the things I need, I will be happier than living in the city or going further into Houston. Because right now I'm kind of like on the edge of where the city stops and the suburbs begin. It's kind of I'm like in the suburbs, but the border to where that invisible border to where the city starts and the suburbs end is just a few miles south of me. And I felt it the last time I rode my bike into the city. It was obvious. It was almost like I got to a specific road and it was like the energy was totally different in terms of how the people and the drivers treated me. Because they treat you different when you're in the city versus all the road rage that I experience every day on my to and from. It's because I'm riding through the most affluent suburban neighborhood in Houston. And so I'm dealing with all of those snobby rich dickheads that think that they're better than everybody, and they think that the road belongs to them and nobody else. And that attitude, that I'm the only one that matters attitude, is prevalent in these douchebag filled suburbs. These KOA neighborhoods, HOA. KOA is basically the Karen of America campground. A KOA is basically the campground equivalent of an HOA. You still got Karen running around trying to give you a fine because you got the wrong color garbage can at the end of your driveway. So Karen's trying to shake you down for $500, threatening to foreclose on your house and kick you out of your home for having the wrong color trash can. That kind of shit. Those are the people. That's the level of people. That's the type of person that is not, when I'm on the bicycle riding through a neighborhood like that, those are the people that I'm sharing the road with. You think if they're willing to try and have somebody evicted from their neighborhood and foreclose on their house because they have the wrong color garbage can, that's how they treat their neighbors? Is it any wonder that they're complete scumbags with the way that they treat a bicyclist on the road? No, it shouldn't. It really doesn't. It shouldn't surprise you at all, because these people are just scumbags. They're scum of the earth. They're the worst people. I'm telling you, I lived in Pittsburgh for a long time, but I really saw it more when I lived out where I lived in Amish country, way out there. I'm talking like, when you watch the Amish people harvest their fields, they're out there with horses, and their horses are pulling combines and stuff like that. Like I have photos of an Amish guy mowing his yard with horses, pulling a lawnmower. Just goofy shit like that. Way out there. I lived way out there. And on my way into Pittsburgh, anytime I used to have to go into the city for a work commute or a work purpose where I'm driving 70 miles into the city, parking in a downtown Pittsburgh parking garage, working in a high-rise building in downtown Pittsburgh, there was a specific on-ramp called the Evans City on-ramp. Evans City. That's the first. Cranberry is the most douchebag suburbs of the whole city of Pittsburgh. It's the equivalent of the Woodlands, kind of. It's very close to what the Woodlands is in terms of the level of cocksucker douchebags that live in that area, in their McMansions and all that garbage. And you could drive into Pittsburgh, and now the Evans City exit is you're about 20 minutes from downtown Pittsburgh on an hour's drive. So the first 40 minutes of my drive is on a highway that's pretty chill. I mean, you always have there's always assholes on the road, but the number of assholes is relatively small, and you can just, you can set cruise control and just kick it. Just zone out and drive. And then you get to this Evans City exit where the on-ramp joins, and you notice right away every single person that's getting on this highway from that ramp is a complete asshole, arrogant asshole, weaving in and out of traffic, honking their horn, yelling and screaming, throwing road rage fits, not using their turn signals, and just weaving back and forth, cutting everybody else off, and like basically just acting like a bunch of self-entitled, self-important, arrogant pieces of shit. And then the Cranberry exit shows up, and everybody getting on the highway. Now you got a whole bunch more assholes. And the whole road, before you know it, is completely covered with these suburban cocksuckers, and they are all dickheads. They're all the most insane, toxic, roid-raging dickheads that you could possibly imagine. And they're all like, when the inevitable traffic jam shows up, they're horrible. They're horrible. My God, it's so insane watching these fucking people and the way they act. Childish. It's like watching toddlers fight over toys in a toy box. And then you get into the city and you get off of the highway, and it goes back to being more or less chill. I mean, city traffic can be a pain in the ass, but when when you get away from these suburban douchebags, it's a different vibe. So there are days where I'd be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not taking the highway. I'll take the back roads in. Taking the, and that doesn't really shield you from the suburban assholes, but there's different ways that I could, because it's Pittsburgh and there's more than one way to go. But I could take different, I knew that city like the back of my hand. I lived there for so long. I know how to get from, I don't think there's a street in Pittsburgh I haven't been on. It's hard to find a street that I haven't seen with my, either on a bicycle or a car. In the whole city, in all of Allegheny County, it's really hard for me to find a road or a street I haven't been on. Because I'm an explorer. I love to go out and see new things, and even just being on a road I haven't been on before, it triggers that, Magellan part of my DNA, where I'm just out exploring and I'm like, ooh, I haven't seen this before. Oh, I haven't been to this ghetto before. Wow, that's crazy. Those are some interesting particle board windows, and, that kind of, even if I'm in the ghetto, it's interesting to me to go down a street I've never been down before. So I used to do that all the time in Pittsburgh. I would just take random drives and see, let's see where this goes. Fuck it. Turn left instead of right and see where it goes. And, and so I've definitely, even the trails, how to get around on a bicycle, I would blow your mind being I can beat you if you're in a car. If I'm on a bicycle, especially a mountain bike, and we want to race from point A to B, I'm going to win. Almost guaranteed, especially in the city limits. You're going to have a hard time beating me if you're in a car and I'm on a bike in Pittsburgh. So, but in the city, there's a different vibe in the city itself. As soon as you get out to the suburbs, it's full of assholes. And then you get past the suburbs and it's a chill vibe again. So, you couldn't pay, if I had the money to live in the suburbs, it's the last place I ever want to be. And, right now I don't have a lot of choice. But let's just say maybe God has something in mind, and he's going to get me out to the country where I want to be, but still give me the means to take care of myself and to get back on my feet. And maybe because I can get into a tranquil, peaceful kind of an atmosphere, maybe God will start to, or maybe my life will start to fall into place in a rapid fashion because I'm finally out of this urban and suburban hellhole that I haven't been able to break free from since the day I got out of prison. And, you know, and it kind of has that same vibe as when I moved out to the country, to Amish country. My life took off like a rocket ship. Things were stuck and became unstuck because I'm telling you, the peace of mind that living in that house put me in paid for itself. Like, everybody was like, oh, you can't, you know, I was paying more in rent and my bills went up. And the fact that I had to have a working vehicle at all times, I had to get another vehicle just to have security because I was 70 miles from downtown Pittsburgh and you never knew when I would have to drive down there. Plus my son, his mother lived an hour and a half south of Pittsburgh. So to go pick up my son, if I had to pick him up from his mom's house, it was a 2.5 hour drive each way to go get him. So I needed a vehicle at all times. And so I needed 2 vehicles, and eventually I got 3 vehicles, but it was all for peace of mind to be able to handle living so far from everything, and a bicycle's not going to cut it in that situation. In a pinch, yes, the bicycle helped me. I had to take my vehicle to the shop. I could do it and then just ride my bicycle home. One of the garages, they would give me a ride because I was 3 miles away. Sometimes they'd just come pick up my car and then drop it off when they were done. Service with a smile. But there were times I would have to ride my bike to do things because I had to drop off my one vehicle when I had one vehicle. And sometimes I would just ride my bike for fun. But you could not survive living out in Amish country with nothing but a bicycle. It would have paralyzed me severely. But I just kind of remember, and there is like, I wouldn't call it an anniversary, but it was April 1st of 2016 that I moved into this house. And it happened to be Easter weekend, because I remember it was Saturday that I moved, and Sunday was Easter, and I could hardly walk because I hurt my back really bad. And I went to my girlfriend at the time, went and had dinner with her family and stuff, and I had popped enough pills to get through it. And then later on that night, she's taking me to the ER because I couldn't walk. She was like, we're going to the ER. And they gave me a shot of morphine. They gave me a shot of morphine and some pills, some really potent pills, and sent me on my way. And when all was said and done, within a few days I was back on my feet because of the pills. And within a couple of months my back was fully healed. But that morphine was all right. I'll tell you that. Holy shit, that fixed the problem real fast. But that was also like, there's an anniversary there too. When I talked about April 2nd, 3rd was, April 2nd is the day I got out of prison. The evening of April 3rd is when I walked into the apartment for the first time. And then April 3rd is when this landlord came at me threatening to throw me out if I wouldn't pay more in rent, even though he refuses to fix anything. And I kind of think about it also. I'm like, April, first weekend of, April 1st of that year, it happened to be Easter. But that was also the time I moved into that house. And that moving into that house, changed my life dramatically. It was so dramatic, and it happened fairly slowly, but my career took off. Everything it wasn't a smooth ride. But every year I could look back and say, wow, I'm so much better off now than I was a year ago. And so maybe, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of read into these coincidences sometimes, maybe more than I should in some cases. I don't think it's a coincidence that a year ago, the day that the landlord came at me threatening to have me removed if I won't go along with paying more rent in the middle of a lease when he's not legally allowed to do that, combined with the fact that he won't fix the hot water and in fact keeps making the situation worse. I don't think that's a coincidence that it's the exact same day that I came home from prison and walked into the apartment for the first time there. And that place was a dump. And that place didn't last long. And 45 days later, I was out homeless. So I don't know. There's like repeating patterns, coincidences. Maybe these are like signs. I don't know. I gotta ask. I gotta talk to God a little bit when I hang up this video here. It's hard to. It's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to know, and I just keep asking God. I'm like, God, can you just make it plain and obvious? And so I gotta do a couple things. My energy's gone today. I woke up today thinking, okay, I'm gonna take on the world, and I can't even take on the dishes. Tomorrow I'll wake up feeling a lot better. Wednesday last week, same thing. I woke up feeling a million times better. I got things done, and my mind is way better this week than last week. Today it's the body more than the mind keeping me down. So it's kind of like I'm in this pattern right now of Sunday and Tuesdays are kind of like the days I have no energy. To Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I have energy to do my work from home. Saturday, Monday, I have the energy to go on that crazy ass bike ride with all the physical back-breaking work. And the mental stress has no effect on my work. If I had a physically demanding job right now that paid well, I wouldn't have any problems getting the job done and doing a good job at it because the mental stuff doesn't have as much of effect. But the freelance and that kind of stuff, it's tough right now. But if I end up in a better place to live, if I end up with something where I'm like, man, I love living here. I love it. And I'm like, there's no noise and I'm not listening to the traffic and I don't have the problems that this place has. If I can sit with the windows wide open with no curtains blocking them and get sunlight and like go and sit out in the yard, or you know what I mean? Like, you never know. All I'm saying is it would, like, just a change like that would have a profound effect on everything. And the only reason I know this is because I've experienced it. Um, the good that moving out to Amish country and living in that beautiful home, the amount of positive things that brought into my life were so beyond measure. It's heartbreaking to know that I lost all of that and that I'm in this situation where I'm in now. And, even if I hadn't done what I did, maybe something else would have come along to rip that rug out from under me and who knows what from there. But all I'm saying for the point of this video is that the place that you live has a profound effect on your mental state, and your mental state has a profound effect on what you can accomplish in your life. And so I haven't had, I'm going to tell you that the most productive that I've been since I got out of prison was, some of it was when I was homeless and some of it was living at my best friend's house. I wasn't posting. I don't remember posting too many negative videos from the friend's house. I don't remember I'm always going to have a negative streak because it's just who I am. But um, I was getting a lot more done living with them than I am since I've lived in this place. And when I was homeless, like I said, it was an upgrade from living with my ex. So there were some severe challenges to that, both in terms of how much time I could spend each day on things. I had the energy, but I had a curfew and a bedtime. Literally a bedtime. A 48-year-old man being told it's Betty Bye time at 11 o'clock because you're a worthless piece of shit who, lost your place to live. So now we're going to treat you like you're a stupid little kid. I'll say this. One reason that they did that was because if you're in a shared room with 20 other people, they don't want people coming in at like 2 in the morning and waking everybody else up. They want everybody to get a good night's sleep. But when they put me in a room where I was in a room by myself and I didn't have to share with somebody else, why do I got to go to bed at 11 o'clock at night if I'm responsible enough to get up in the morning and get out of the homeless shelter at the time that I'm supposed to leave? And I've never been a problem from day one. Like, they even told me over and over again, you're like the only one here who never breaks the rules and never gives us any problems. We appreciate that. And then I'm like, well, then why can't... And some of the people that worked there didn't care if I stayed up after 11. And honestly, I never really stayed up past midnight because I get tired. And at some point, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bed. But I wanted the freedom to be able to, like, if I'm in the middle of something, I want to finish... Because all I was doing was working on my own stuff. I wasn't sitting there fucking around. I was working. I was picking things up and working on them. Trying to find a way out of this mess. And if somebody wanted to come up and look over my shoulder and say, what are you doing? I would show them. In fact, I'd be like, here, you want to see what I worked on this week? I did that more than once. Just like, just so you know I'm not fucking around. Here's what I did this week. And I'd open up my laptop and be like, here, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Wow. And then people would leave me the fuck alone because they were like, wow, how the hell did he even do that? I'd have to print out copies of my resume and they would be like, do you want to send it to my email address or whatever? I'm like, no, open up a web browser. They'd be like, huh? I'd be like, open your web browser, type in resume.classyux.com. And I'm like, okay, just hit print. They're like, oh my God, you have a fucking URL for your resume? And I'm like, yeah, if you replace resume with www, you can see my website, portfolio, that kind of stuff. And people were like, what? How the fuck are you homeless? And I'm like, yeah, I ask myself that all the time too. But it is what it is. And so, but anyway, I'm tapping out. I gotta make a phone call. I'd like to get that out of the way. This video is probably 2 hours long, so I'm gonna cap it, and I'm just gonna say peace out till next time.